I think it's really too bad that for some unknown reason to me that there are people who understand the critical nature of saving the rainforest in Brazil, which absolutely needs to be saved, but understand those issues better than the issues right here in the United States and in the states that are so positively impacted by grasslands. So from Canada to Mexico, it's this wonderful strip right east of the Rockies, basically to the Mississippi River, used to run east of there even, but all grasslands and just an incredible ecological treasure, and not very well understood or fully appreciated. Was called the Great American Desert by those early pioneers who had grown up in a different type of agriculture than what grazing lands really need. And policymakers for 150 years now, really since the Homestead Act of 1862, have really been detrimental to grasslands. And not to be nefarious, but out of ignorance, policy has really degraded the grasslands of America, and needlessly, sadly. And so it's just a real sensitive issue for me that I've been a core part of my life, or that I'd love to see protected and restored if able.
We referred to grasslands as basically being a worthless ecosystem, and we've taken that ecosystem for granted, and the ecosystem services of grasslands are really important to our way of life in this part of the world. So when we're seeing large-scale grassland collapse and large-scale loss of grasslands, it's something that we actually now know affects every citizen in our states.
The most recent data shows, I believe it's 2021, 127,000 plus acres of grassland that we lost again. And with that, you know, I coined a term that says no cows, no grass, no birds, but it's way beyond that because of whether it's insects or water quality or air quality that are negatively impacted when we lose our grasslands. And the more you study it, the more you realize who inhabits a diverse landscape of native grasslands versus a monoculture or an urban development. And we really need to educate people as to what happens when we lose this, both economically, health-wise, you know, and so these are just important things that we've got to try and get the word out to the American public, and in particular, those in South Dakota.
The Central Grasslands Roadmap Initiative was an effort to bring together partners from across the Central Grasslands biome to really create momentum around community-led, community-informed conservation and elevate it to a level that could create impact in communities from the north end of the biome to the south end of the biome. It brings together people who have different skill sets, organizations who have different interests, but collectively we all have a vested interest in ensuring that the grasslands are viable well into the future.
South Dakota is naturally a really cooperative state when it comes to conservation, and not just conservation, but recognizing the different facets that feed into needing our grasslands to succeed. And so all of those different partners that rely on our grasslands came together, and that's what launched the South Dakota Grasslands Initiative here. It was the partners saying, what can we do stronger if we work together? We're all doing really great things and need to keep doing our great things, but is there some pieces that if we pool what we're doing, we can come off with something that's a bigger, stronger push and might be more effective if we have the same message going.
The initiative had its first forum. We called it the Grassland Summit. Very well attended, not only by folks from South Dakota, but other states as well. Very enthusiastic, and I think it really built the momentum to keep grasslands at the forefront of conservation and the needs for the economy and recreation and carbon sequestration and water management. The list goes on and on in South Dakota and the region as well.
There are 8 groups that that we brought to the table initially, it's NGOs, it's private landowners, federal agencies, state agencies, academia, industry, foundations, obviously, very important for fundraising, and then all encompassing all those groups is the indigenous communities that are involved in all of those different aspects. So that's the 8 groups that the Grassland initially tried to bring together to form the work groups, to form the steering committee, and get a good, well-rounded perspective on the issues that are being dealt with.
We're losing a lot of grasslands over time, but it's the first time we've really seen groups start to step up and become aligned at a national level. It's not just about their individual mission of their individual entity or organization. It's about the broader grassland biome and coming together to conserve it at scale.
I got involved with the South Dakota Grassland Initiative and the coalition really just out of interest. I wanted to learn more about the grasslands that generally provide for our living. Running a cow-calf operation, we also produce seed stock. That's our bottom line is affected every year by our grasslands and how productive they can be. And so wanting to know what I can do as a producer to make sure that we're doing everything under our control to make sure that these grasslands will be available for the next generation and generations to come.
The grasslands they're just so important. I mean, our connection as tribal members was our connection to the land. I've noticed, even in the 20-some years that I've been working, that connection seems to get lost or broken. If we're really gonna reach the next generation, we need to get those kids out onto the grasslands, out onto the prairie. They need to physically be there just to see and take in everything that it is.
The Central Grasslands Initiative is a really good opportunity for people across the Great Plains to be at the same table and working together, sharing resources, sharing information, sharing strategies that work, and things of that nature.
South Dakota cattlemen felt it would be beneficial to have somebody here, and but I do feel it's important. I guess I wanted to hear, what's going on as far as trying to preserve grasslands, and maybe have some input on what these groups are going to do to improve grasslands.
I've been inspired by what they're trying to accomplish with this South Dakota Grassland Initiative. In terms of elevating the value of grasslands in the state of South Dakota.
Tribes in Northern Great Plains, control about 12 million acres of land. And so that means that there's just a tremendous amount of opportunity there, to restore grasslands and conserve wildlife populations. And so I would just, encourage folks to reach out to their tribal partners when they're creating initiatives and creating programs, because there's so much opportunity on tribal lands.
There is hope for the first time, but we've got a lot of work to do to take that initial momentum, demonstrate how we can scale up our partnerships and be more successful on those 2 big drivers. We're starting to see it, and so that's a big win, but we got a lot of work to do.
I am hopeful for the grasslands, and I'm hopeful, I think, out of my own blind desire to see that there is hope. But I also stand in rooms like this here in South Dakota of people filled to the brim with hope who are working really hard. And if that isn't the future that I want to be a part of, I don't know what is, Whether or not we can move the needle in the way we need to, I can't say for sure, but I do know that there are a lot of people who care deeply and who are going to do hard work.